BraveWords is honored to, and Streaming for Vengeance, obviously, to present the world premiere of Black Roses. This is Rough Cut 2021. So we're talking to Chris, Dave, Darren, Jeff, and Steven. We're missing one. That one will appear hopefully momentarily, but this is a beautiful moment for BraveWords, and we're honored to actually be part of it. So thank you. Let's just start off with a really basic, dumb question. Why now? Why this? What's going on? Like this has been presented to us, so why now?
Why not?
Let me, well, why not? But let me start off by saying it's a long story. But
very long story.
It's a long story. As you know, Dave and I are the original members, and we decided the other guys basically wanted to do their own thing, and Dave and I decided we wanted to keep Rough Cut going, and so we found these new players. We already knew a couple of them, and we just we got ourselves an attorney and we put the thing together. Started writing songs. I started writing with Steven even before we did this, and then Dave came in and went, "Hey, that's cool, man," and we have garnered a lot of interest just doing that. So.
But 35 years, that's a long time to present a video.
37 years.
37. Well, we've had some offers over the past years to do records, and we couldn't ever get a consensus. And this is part of the reason why
we moved on.
Yes, what you're seeing. We could never get a consensus, with everybody wanting to do it, or it's not enough money, or it's not enough this, whatever. So I think it's one of those things that the time just had to be right. The timing had to be right, and we had to have everybody had to have the right mindset,
Well, factoring in COVID, which I didn't really want to make this all about COVID, but it's like that obviously is an issue.
A factor, yeah.
Right. So to present something, so many bands that have been recording and they can't get on the road, and now we're looking at Rough Cut releasing this video. It's an unbelievable time in music history.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's a great song for us to put out first. We got a lot more material, but Rough Cut was known for ballads, and so Chris and Steven and I, and then Jeff and everybody with the new lineup, and we get together. And once this started panning out, we decided out of 5 songs that we were considering to shoot the video on this song.
Yeah.
And you've seen it already.
Absolutely. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I will say, hard rock, there's a lot of bands that are missing how to write a hook, and Black Roses grabs you where a good song does.
Yeah, Black Rose.
That was exactly my intent and our intent from the beginning. As far as we're concerned, if it ain't a hit, it ain't shit.
Yeah. I like that, Chris.
It's Black Rose too, by the way, not Rose.
It was funny. I was telling Chris, because when I was at Motown, you had to have something besides being an artist. They wanted you to work, and they knew I wrote songs, and this is back in 83, 84. And that I mentioned to Chris, I said that was the mantra. They had that on the wall in Joe Bed in the songwriting room every Monday. You'd see that. If it ain't a hit, it ain't shit. And I told them a lot of people when they write songs, and mind you, we co-wrote this. This is a collective effort. But I told Chris, I said, a lot of people when they write a song, they write it linear. They write it, I am here, and you walk a straight line to get to the other end. And I said, for me, and a few other people, we like to write circular. In other words, you start at the hook, you start at the sing-along part that is going to grab people, and then you work your way around that. And I think it's just two different mindsets of writing. And
Yeah.
these guys, I mean, Dave and Chris, you know, they presented me with some great material and said, well, can you do a better job of it? And I was like, well, let's give it a shot. Dave had a great hook. He goes, I liked your verses better. So let's put these verses in instead of this. And then let's keep this hook that we had. And we've done that on a few songs. And then we've written some new stuff too. But I think collectively we all felt that this was a great way to start out. Instead of going balls to the wall, 80 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, let's start with this. I mean, and just tell you right from the get-go the hook, and then tell you the tale. And it was just, to me, it seems like it turned out great, and it's a great idea.
The video speaks for itself.
Well, apologies, because the press release said Black Rose, but the file that I was sent said Black Roses. So I don't know if it's one or a bouquet.
It's singular. It's singular.
Yes, Black Rose.
One Black Rose can spoil the whole month's bouquet.
Thank God for editing.
Now, there's a Toronto connection actually with this, because when I watched the video, I'm like, I know who she is. I've dealt with her, and she's a beautiful woman. And how did you guys connect with Priya?
I think it was our manager and our bass player that actually brought her into the Rough Cut camp.
Yeah, Scully had mentioned her, and I thought she was like the perfect fit for the part, because she is into, 80s metal and has all the clothes already for it, and she's a singer as well. And
she's a good singer. I watched some of her stuff.
Yeah, she's great. And yeah, she's just super cool. And like I said, had the wardrobe already and really fit the part for what we were doing. And it just, from the get-go, that was, as soon as that was brought up, I was like, yeah, she'd be perfect for it. So yeah, so that's
she has a mysterious.
This goes to show, always have a good wardrobe in your closet.
Right.
Yeah.
She already had the mysteriousness about her demeanor, and she fit perfect for the storyline. I mean, absolutely perfect. Her she got some of the biggest eyes I've ever seen. And when she's looking around like, oh man, I hope nobody's watching me, it comes across great.
Yeah. She was perfect for it. And keeping the storyline simple in the video was a necessity, without over complicating the shoot and all that stuff. It was perfect, timeline wise. We shot it in 2 days, and yeah, I mean, she knew exactly what to do. And and we had friends that were there around helping out too, and it was just all kind of came together in a really cool Rough Cut community kind of way. So
right.
And and the visuals don't step on the music, so I felt that worked out really well.
Yeah.
How did it work getting a Canadian down to presumably California during COVID and all these travel restrictions and everything? When was this actually filmed?
A couple months ago.
Here.
December.
She lives here.
Yeah. Yeah, she's living down there right now in LA.
I was not aware of that, because I know she works with Record Store Day Canada. So we've dealt with her and Demons for a long time. I was not aware of that. Anyway, so you've got this brand new vocalist. So tell me, Stephen, how Motown meets heavy metal.
Well, Chris and I met in around 1980, 1981, and we started the band Sarge. And that actually had Matt Thorne from Rough Cut also in it at the time. And the drummer we had at that point was Kurt Meyer. He had Salty Dog. They ended up doing a record later, but we had a pretty successful band. I mean, we were headlining places like the Whiskey and the Country Club and bless you.
Excuse me.
It's like bullshit. But what happened was I got a call from a guy that played guitar in a band that opened for us one night. And he just said, "Do you like Motown?" I said, "I grew up in the inner city in Los Angeles." I said, "You know, if you didn't listen to Motown, people looked at you like you had a third eye or something." So I went to Motown offices in LA, and they were offering me a contract. And when you're a starving musician, that was kind of hard to, you know, pass up. So I already had the rock songs, and they were looking to do a crossover because right at that time, Rick James and Prince were just starting to come into prominence, and that's what they wanted to cap on. So we kind of kept it. It had to have an element of R&B in it, but at the same time, they wanted a kind of a rock presence. And so it was just kind of a, you know, a meeting of the two musics. The album was fun, but it didn't do very well, unfortunately. And after that, I left and I went back to the Sunset Strip. I mean, that was a couple of years later. And I worked with some interesting people. I mean, I had, like I said, Mark Train was in the band, Lonnie Vincent from Bullet Boys. And later on, I had CeCe DeVille as one of my guitar players, but that was before Poison. In fact, I think he met Poison when they opened for us, and again at the Troubadour. So I've had the best of all those different all those different worlds in music.
It's funny you mentioned Lonnie Vincent. That was my first interview in BraveWords history. Was the Bullet Boys, Lonnie Vincent.
Really?
It wasn't that pleasurable.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Story, man.
Do tell.
St. James was able to take that soulful voice that he has and bring it on over into Rough Cut. And between the two of us conversing back and forth with melody and inflection, he, in my opinion, is exactly what this project needed, was a singer as versatile as he is.
Just to avoid confusion, because right there it says Santiago. Santiago just translates in English to James or St. James. That's why the whole thing with the two names.
Well, which do you want to be, Santiago or St.
You know what?
I keep asking him that.
Just call me Steven.
Hey, that guy.
That guy.
No, I'm just saying his voice is kind of set us. We don't want to stray too far away from our sound, but at the same time, we want to go fresher and bring new stuff to the table. And I think with this lineup, we've accomplished that.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently you're in the studio working on material.
Yes.
Well, you know, what I saw in Steven 35 years ago is the same thing that drew him into this just 2 years ago. It was like from the minute we got together, and this was after I was out of Mickey Rat. Steven and I knew we wanted to play together, and we got together and we started writing songs immediately. This is back in '82. And I knew that 35 years later, I had no reason to believe that it was going to be any different. Mm-hmm. And turns out I think I was right.
That guy.
Yes, sir.
So what does the Sunset Strip look like today?
I haven't been there since before COVID, so
I live in Huntington Beach, so I don't go up there much.
Well,
the last time I was there was a little rough around the edges. It's it looked like it needed to be cleaned up a little bit.
Well, you know, I think I can answer that really. I was obviously, nobody's been doing much at all in the last year, but I was doing gigs at, they had this thing going on at the Whiskey called Ultimate Jam Night. Mm-hmm. Probably aware of it. And I was being asked to come and do that a lot. So I had an opportunity to go down and hang out and go down to the Whiskey. And it was the thing that I realized about Hollywood is for one thing, it'll never be like it was in the 80s. That time has come and gone. what's happening down there is it's being bought up by a lot of corporate conglomerates, and it's really becoming a parody of itself. It's going to be like Vegas before you know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's
huge.
what it looked like. Yeah, that's what it starting to look like to me too.
Yeah.
It's like they might have a big super hotel and have a little whiskey a go-go inside or something.
They've already done it, and you know, there's still a few bastions of the old Hollywood that are still there. Obviously, the whiskey, the rainbow's still there.
Well, the whiskey's a state landmark now. It's registered. It's got a big thing right on the wall. It's a landmark, so they'll
That's
never
so cool
tear
that they did
down.
that.
Yeah, they did that.
But a lot of the other stuff that we remember, it's becoming, you know, unrecognizable, which is a shame, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Gazzari's and all that stuff from back in the day, it's been
All
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
The House of Blues is gone, right? They tore
Yeah.
that down.
House of Booze is,
Yeah, I mean, basically, you still have the Rainbow, the Whiskey a Go Go, the Viper Room,
The Roxy.
Roxy.
and the Roxy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and those are kind of the, you know, the staples. You
the
know,
holdouts, yeah.
Is the Troubadour just down the street still?
Yeah,
I
it
heard
is.
that it's still there, but I heard that they're in trouble.
Yeah, also, they don't have rock down there anymore.
Okay.
I shouldn't say rock. They don't have the kind of rock that we play. They have alternative music, basically. Is what they do down there now. So I haven't been inside that place in 30 something years.
wow.
Used to be our stomping grounds.
A lot
man.
of memories from those places, that's for
A
sure.
lot of memories.
That's where I joined Rat when I was with Matt. He was 17 years old. That's a long time ago, bro.
Has anybody actually asked you guys that Rough Cut might have been like the farm team for the Sunset Strip?
Nobody's ever quite put it that way.
That way, right? We've been told that because of having, you know, so many writers in the band and being hooked up with the Dio clan, that we kind of opened up a lot of doors for bands coming out of Hollywood. We actually got signed before some of the most famous ones, but we sat on our record deal for over a year. We watched Rat put their record out, Quiet Riot put their record out. I mean, so many people putting their records out, and we're still holding on to the best deal of all, but didn't do anything with it for over a year.
Yeah, we were waiting for a specific producer who happened to be busy.
All the time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But
Anyway,
you know, it's a good point. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, go on.
Continue.
I was going to say what Chris has said. You know, it's back in those days. How can I say this? We'll call it the window. When a window opens, it's the same as, in fact, today it's even harder. But back then, it wasn't the feat to get the record deal. It was get it and what do you do with it? Okay. Because I know lots of bands, so does Chris, that got great deals, like Warrior, for example. I don't know if I can mention that or not, but that wound up getting the raw end of the stick because of the window closing. Same thing happened to us, you know. It's I hate to say it, but that's one of the things that breathed new life into this band now is we had a great singer, Paul Shortino. I mean, the guy is amazing, okay? But when you get Paul, that's what you get. It's Paul. You know, he's got a unique voice. It stays consistent, and having a guy like Steven in the band has opened up a lot more doors. That me and Chris talk about it all the time, because now we're kind of more not limited. And the new music, which you've heard one of them, it'll speak for itself, especially with that guy singing.
Yeah. And Tim, getting back to your question, it's really true. It was you could characterize it as musical chairs back in the early 80s.
Yeah,
so a lot of the people that were in Rat and Mickey Rat were also in Rough Cut, vice versa, and a lot of other bands. So it was one of those times where at any given, time, you might find somebody who was playing in Rat now playing in Rough Cut or vice versa.
Right.
And it was just a very incestuous thing going on there. And a lot of us moved up from San Diego. Piercy and I moved up in 1980. And then we had Jake come up and a bunch of other people that you would know of. And so it was a really, like I say, it was musical chairs, man. It was fun as hell, though.
Now, but like when you look back, and I'm not saying you failed, but like just how it progressed
Right.
and what happened, what didn't fucking happen, and why did it happen?
Well, okay, so here's the deal. We basically had all the trappings, okay? So we had the best, one of the best
everything.
Warner Brothers, labels. We had some of the best management. We had Ronnie and Wendy Dio behind us. We were out touring with, some of the best bands, including extended tours with Ronnie. Hell, we went to Europe and played before we even got signed. So we had all the trappings, but what happened is we got lost in the fray in the record company. So in that year's time that David was talking about, people left and we sort of got orphaned and we lost our A&R person.
That's right.
And so basically we were doing all the things that all the big bands were doing. So we were playing with the big boys. We were out there on our tour bus and doing festivals and all this stuff, but we didn't have the record sales. And that was a lot. And that was mostly due to the record company.
Well, it was due to the record company. If I recollect, they shipped that when you first come out, they ship a certain amount of records. Okay. I don't remember the exact number, but where it went out to all the record stores, it sold out the first day. Whatever they sent out, the record was gone so fast that by the time we got to that town to play, there were no records. We had in-store things to do at record
and they weren't
shops.
restocking. That was
It's just it was totally like Chris said. We lose the A&R guy. Well, no, first we wait too long. Second, we lose the A&R guy because he's sitting on it too, just like us for a whole year, and he moved on, went to another label. So we kind of got pushed aside there. So I mean that's the best way I can explain it.
We had a hell of a ride, though.
Oh yeah, we did. I think if we would have came out when we were supposed to, "Dreaming Again" would have been a hit song.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
With that piece of my heart.
If you look back in the early 80s, there was just like the bill. Like I always love looking at the stats of like the Billboard Top 10 in like 1986, and you've got Guns N' Roses, Great White, and all these like, you know what I mean? Like, so the pool today, the pool is big and there's a million bands. Back then, the pool was the same size, but there was a lot of less bands. And I will say, like quality bands like Rough Cut. But
thank you.
Seriously, right? Like, look, Blue Murder didn't sell.
That's right.
It should have.
Which was a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the greatest albums of all time.
Hey, this is nothing new, folks, right? I mean, you can look back as far as, the music industry goes, and you can see this in every
genre,
decade.
every genre.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sake,
could have been huge that didn't never quite make it.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. Ronnie used to be in doo-wop. The Metal King, Ronnie Dio. He used to be in the doo-wop. So,
He told me that at the Troubadour. I was like, wait, come again? What? I told him I was at Motown, and he's like, he goes, I love Motown. I was in a doo-wop band when back in the 60s. I was like, huh?
Yeah. And he also played it in classical, thing. What did he play? Did he play
Well, he
Yeah,
had
French
a
horn?
scholarship to the Juilliard School of Music for playing classical trumpet.
Uh-oh, Dave, you froze up there, Dave.
What?
He he played trumpet, you said?
Yeah, classical trumpet.
Oh,
That's
cool.
the hardest style to learn. And he had a scholarship. And he basically told me I got faced with, I had to make a decision. Do I want to go play rock and roll, play bass in a rock band? Or do I want to go continue on to college and get a degree in classical trumpet? He chose to be in a rock band. And,
I think he made the right. I think he made the right decision.
Well, I mean, if y'all, I know everyone on this screen was a huge Rainbow fan. So, yeah, obviously, I mean, to me, his band Elf opening up for Deep Purple is how him and Richie connected those dots. And I mean, if I was Richie and was going to leave Deep Purple and I had a guy that could sing like Ronnie opening up for my band, I'd be getting his phone number.
No kidding.
This was actually a question for Darren, but I think because he's not here, so enough of that. We're all insulted. I'm totally joking. And I think you actually may, all of you, answer this better than him. So he'll feel red-faced tomorrow morning. I finished watching the Bay Area Godfathers documentary, and Mike Varney is all over it, and his whole shrapnel roots.
Right.
Like when you think of the whole hairband movement, you don't think of technical players.
No.
Right.
Like to have Rough Cutt bring on like somebody from the whole shrapnel thing. It's yeah. Go.
He fits. Let's put it that way. Chris and I had long discussions on how and why we needed a second guitar player again. And we didn't do it just because that's the way Rough Cutt used to be. It's just the writing that we're used to. More often than not, you need to have two players to pull it off live. Okay. And Chris, obviously being the main guy, the meat and potatoes guy here, that he had to find somebody that he could gel with. And I was just as surprised as what you just said. Darren came in and it was like, holy shit. I mean, this is the bomb here, so, I mean, I don't know. You should ask Chris about it. He knows more than I do about guitar work.
Yeah. Well, Darren's definitely a shredder, and he kind of, in that way, he kind of completes the whole lineup. Like Dave said, I'm more of a meat and potatoes guy, but and it's it's going to be very similar to what it was before in terms of splitting up leads, but his style and my style are completely different. And what we're going to do is use that to our advantage.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Go
ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, if I may, for me, again, this was while writing songs with Chris on that. He's sitting at that table where he is now, and I'm sitting on that black couch right behind him, and we're furiously writing. And at the time, I was in a couple of different bands. I was in a tribute band and I was in a cover band. So when we looked for somebody new, it was like, well, who's in the next cover band down the street that we could steal or convince to go to this band? And so Chris is calling people on the phone, and the names that he's of the people he's calling. It's like I'm going, oh wait, what? This guy from this band, these are bands I listen to on the radio, and these are people he's talking to on the phone. And well, I can't do it because I've got commitments to this, or I'm recording this album. And this person would say, but hey, try this guy. Yeah. And it was another fun, cool name. And eventually somebody mentioned Darren Householder. And I look at Chris and I was like, he goes shrapnel. I was like going, oh,
and I remember when Chris told me, I said, you talking about Love Hate? Because we know.
That's right.
Well, Johnny, didn't Darren take Johnny's place?
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
Essentially, yeah. And then when I found out through Chris, what kind of a shredder he was. See, that's the same thing that happened in the beginning of Rough Cut. You got to have two separate personalities that are complete opposite, but that can work together.
Dave,
that gel.
Dave, Tim, you know how I like to put it? I like to put it this way. Chris is the thunder and Darren's the lightning.
I love that Thin Lizzy record.
Go with that. Go with that.
Thunder and lightning.
Well, you know, one of the things I think about Darren is that, I mean, Rough Cut's kind of, when I think about listening to Rough Cut, like when I was in high school, I remembered one of the things that really kind of the Rough Cut signature musically is the guitar work, how it's, you know, like in a lot of bands it would be just a guitar lead, which is awesome and everything, but there was a certain quality, almost symphonic dual lead kind of thing going on all the time, and it requires to kind of even to bring that forward into, you know, today and have it be, you know, legitimate, and, you know, have it kind of, you know, keep the identity of the sound of the band. Yep. Requires somebody like Darren to be in the band to work with Chris, and I've always thought that was one of the really standout things about Rough Cut is the guitar work was almost symphonic in a lot of parts, you know, like what would normally be a lead is actually, you know, an entire musical section, you know. So that's what I thought was cool about Darren, because he can step right in and hang out with the count over there, and they shred together, and I just sit there and drop my jaw and pretend like I'm not as amazed as I am.
You know what?
Well, don't forget, this was happening back when you were in high school.
Right. I mean, I was driving around in the wheat fields in a small town, the Dalles, Oregon, you know.
Listening to Taker.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's what I've always, you know, just as an outsider, that's how I identified the band.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of it applies, kind of like a left field question. Herman Rarebell told me a long time ago.
Herman's a German.
Herman's a German.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us like equate him to Neil Peart or John Bonham, or, you know what I mean? Like he said all those iconic Scorpion songs just required one kind of drum beat. I could have done more. That's all that required. And
sure.
I'm like,
that makes sense.
Like, and he's a great drummer. Does it sound like great drum tracks? Yes or no, but there you go.
I'm a drummer, and Herman had his place. Not only were we good friends, and both Ludwig and Dorsey's, but Herman, when it come to Rudolph's style of writing, he was perfect for him.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I agree.
Because Herman would say, it's all about delivering the next section. That's why instead of hearing fast rolls and like drum parts that stick out at you in a song that's very popular, you would hear him. He was like the main man, and taking a section of music from here and bringing it into the next section with just doom, 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 and just simple stuff. And it was like glove work for Scorpion. So me personally, I think he was probably the best drummer they ever had.
Yeah.
You guys all have these great stories about him. All I could say about Herman Rarebell is he got me so drunk when I was in San Pedro.
That sounds like Herman. I'm German. I could drink you under the table.
CC DeVille was my guitar player, and he's going, come here. I want to introduce you. Some of the Scorpions are here to watch us. And, you know, it's the Waters Club in San Pedro, for God's sakes. It's not the whiskey or, you know, and he sits me down at the table, and Herman's, oh, you want a beer? Yeah. You know, it's just like the beers just kept coming. I think by the end of it, it's like, I just want to go home safely.
Yeah. I wish I'd have seen that.
Well,
right, guys. Go ahead.
Good.
I think it might be time to kind of wrap things up here. We've been going on beautifully for a long time. Thank you so much. But give me the forecast of Rough Cut. What's going on after this video launches? you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and go, what the fuck am I going to do next? Tell us.
Well, our manager just informed me today that we haven't even released it yet, and there are
Scully.
people. There are people already offering us shows. We've already got some stuff booked in New York in September, and it'll be with some friends of ours too. You know, a couple of bands kind of getting together and playing. But as far as immediately, we're in the studio, like you said. The reason why we're releasing Black Rose before we finish the whole record yet is because of COVID, because of what has happened, because of the country being shut down. Everybody's having to do like their parts, and then us get together with Chris or over here at Casa Casaba, suffering succotash. Boy, that's hard to say. And then we've been wanting to bide our time on how we're releasing things, because to me it'd be a mistake if all of a sudden we throw a whole record out there right now and then a month from now something happens and they close the country again. You understand? Yeah. I mean, that's my take on it. What do you think, Chris? Why have we?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is we've, in addition to having interest in shows, we've also got a handful of labels who are interested. So that's going to be the next thing that we're looking at is, you know, who do we want to sign up with, and what's going to be the best fit for us.
Right.
And yeah.
Tim,
So we're hoping that this will be the way to kick it off.
between me and Chris and Dave, we've got, I would say, you know, more than enough songs to complete an album.
Two.
But after doing
Two.
probably two, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of songs. The thing is, once you do something like Black Rose, you realize, okay, well, this really is a step up, and we got to make sure we got to go back through these songs that we've written over the last couple of years, and just this has got to be up to that level now. It's got to be able to sound like this, and that, you know, it's not going to take that long to get them together, but we just want to make sure that when you get this whole release, it is going to be that good, that all of the songs are going to be that good. You know, you just want to put that kind of effort into it. It's a bunch of old pros here, and, you know, we just don't want to throw filler out there. All killer, no filler.
Yeah, we won't release something that's not up to par.
Right. So
All
basically,
of our fans really just feel for you guys, and the lockdowns were the most brutal thing on the planet. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Everybody can't
Absolutely.
wait to watch this thing. This is a beautiful video. Amazing hooks. Awesome. Awesome. And hopefully we can get to see you on the road.
Yeah.
Amen that.
sounds good to me, brother.
It's
Amen.
coming. 2021.
Absolutely.
It is. All right, guys.
All right, Tim.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thank
Take
you
care.
for your words,
Yeah.
okay?
Thanks, Tim.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Rock out, Tim.